Next speaker, I'm going to call Padma Sonti. She will speak on self-worth in career and mental health. As a top-performing luxury real estate professional with Keller Williams, Padma is known for her dedication to serving clients across the northwest suburbs. She helps building goals beyond her professional work. She's deeply committed to community service and in the leadership with IMV, which is Indian Association of Merrimack Valley. I welcome Padma Sonti.
Good afternoon, everyone. How are y'all doing? Good. Awesome. I just want to start with a question. Especially this question is for the women in the room. Have you ever looked at your own life and not recognized yourself in it? I'm not talking about from the outside, but I'm talking look at yourself from the inside and you didn't recognize yourself. That was me. That's where I was in 2009. And it took me years. A cross-country move, a complete reinvention, an incredibly patient husband, a very knowledgeable doctor, for me to find my way back. I want to share with you what that journey has taught me about self-worth. See, by 2008, I was already a mother for a 7-year-old child, our daughter, our elder one. I was working full-time in the insurance industry. My career was going great. We built a life that was really fulfilling, and we were having a great time. And I was expecting our second child. As I was managing all of this, I would joke with people, say, I'm a single parent during the week because my husband traveled a lot for work. And I was juggling motherhood, career, my own person. I was juggling all of it. And I was doing just great. Then came the baby, and we were complete. Everything looked perfect. It was all that we both have worked towards, and our life was looking complete. So within a few months after her arrival, I'm sure some of you women will probably be able to relate to this. I hit a wall. I couldn't recognize myself. Every day was incredibly hard. I was in pain. I didn't recognize myself. Something was happening. Something was very hard, but I couldn't recognize it because I was depressed before. I know what depression was. When I lost my mother, I went through a phase and I understand it. And luckily, I'm married to a gentleman who was knowledgeable to identify those symptoms and steer me in that direction. So I knew how to recognize it. But this was something that I could not identify in me. It wasn't just in my mind. That feeling wasn't just in my mind, it was in my body. I was uncomfortable. Every part of me ached. I couldn't do anything. I would wake up and I just want to go back to bed. I'm not here for today. Today needs to disappear. I'm going to go back to bed. I had zero self-worth. Nothing felt good, and I did not feel myself. So, managing a couple more months, I went back to work after maternity leave. Because I thought going back to work, which was very fulfilling for me, I really enjoyed doing my work, and I was very good at it. I thought, okay, if I just go back to my old routine, I'll be able to handle it. I'll come out of this, whatever is that I'm going through, I'll get past it. And that work was going to be my anchor. But every single day was a battle, both mental and physical. And every day I would pick up my girls from daycare after work, and the staff was great. They'd be like, oh, we had such a great day. The baby did this today. The baby did that. She ate this. The milestones were happening while I was not there for the baby. And I did not like how that felt. I was missing all these things because I was trying to be a professional that I wanted to be all the time. And I thought being that professional was helping me in return come back to my old self. Well, none of that was happening. I was just feeling guilty, and that guilt spiraled. I started feeling like a failure as a mother, failure as a wife, failure as an individual, even in profession. I wasn't doing as great as I was in the past. I was doing phenomenally well before I had the baby. I was getting awards, I was making my numbers. I've always been in sales, so everything was just complete opposite of what I knew. And no matter what I did, it couldn't fill the hole inside me. So one day, in July 2009, I just picked up the kids from school or from daycare, and I came home. And I just made a proclamation. I said, I'm done. I'm quitting my job. I want to be home with the kids. And he said, okay. If that's what you want, if that's what you need, sure. The first few months felt okay. I was happy spending time with the kids. I was there for their milestones and the moments and new things they were accomplishing. But slowly something crept in. Because I left a profession that my family was counting on. We were a lifestyle that was supported by 2 incomes. Now we're just 1 income. And because of the decision that I made, our lifestyle is changing a little bit. And I felt like a failure for that. I felt like a failure because I couldn't maintain that balance that I had before as a mother, as a wife, as a professional. I just didn't have it. And it just spiraled and pulled me deeper into whatever I was feeling. You see, I still wasn't ready to call it depression. I was still fighting it. I was still trying to see something else is going on. What is that? Then came the talk, because this is a person who knew how to recognize those symptoms in me in the past. So now they were in front of him, and I got the talk. There was a talk with the family. I had my friends, our dear family friends, and my husband sat me down. And they said, whatever I was doing to manage whatever I was going through was not enough. That it was time to get some help. It was time to get a therapist. It was time to go back to get some counseling and get some real medical help. And so we started that journey. And by 2012, the physical symptoms had worsened. Because, as you know, nothing is simple in the US when it comes to medical care. We're hitting darts in the dark. We're trying to see if something sticks. Oh, yay, it worked. Fantastic. Let's go with that until it doesn't work, and then we'll figure it out again. So, the worst part about finding that care was a lot of the doctors that I was seeing were coming up with their own versions of me. There were some that said, oh, it's all in your head. You're fine. We did all the tests. Nothing's wrong with you. It's all in your head. So maybe just counseling, therapy, that might help. Then there were some doctors who thought I was just looking for pills. They thought I was just coming to them for pain medication because I kind of got used to them. And it was just appointment after appointment. The whole process was real torture. And things got really worse before they got better. Until I found that one physician who actually saw me. Not as a problem to solve quickly, but as a human being worth understanding. She asked me the right questions. She took the time to learn how my depression was manifesting in different ways. I finally understood where exactly my body was going wrong and where it was failing me physically. That doctor became my anchor. It was such a relief. So basically, I had a chronic medical condition that doesn't necessarily have a cure, but it can be managed with proper medications and doing the right things. So I started the treatment, medication, therapy, a real plan. We were headed in the right direction. And I slowly started to feel a little bit more like my old self, but not completely. But even then, I still couldn't recognize myself. There was something missing in me. And it wasn't so much so that I didn't recognize who I was, but I didn't recognize who I was in that moment in my life. I didn't know what my identity was. So, as I was working towards getting better, we got an opportunity. My husband got an opportunity to relocate for work to Boston. And we were given an option. So we were having a talk. And I said, you know what? Do I stay with what I know, what I have around me, my comfort zone, my old environment, or do I take the leap and try something new? And as a family, we decided to take that leap. And we moved to Boston. Now, the reason I came to that decision of taking the leap was, in my mind, the old Padma, the one that had the struggle with the physical conditions, the mental condition that was bothering me, or, you see this? I'm still not ready to call it depression. But I looked at it as, okay, so if I go to Boston, no one knows the fact that I went through all of this torture the last 3-4 years. I'm starting anew, a new me. I can reinvent myself. I'm around new people. Because the one thing that I realized in Chicago, where we were there, was not only was I feeling bad, I was also surrounded by other women who weren't feeling so well about themselves. Because we were all in this similar age group, we just had kids and everybody was dealing with something or the other. So it was like, if I was not feeling well, and I know they're not feeling well, everything negative was just being amplified. That's all I was surrounded by. So I wanted to remove myself from there and go do something different. So we're here in Boston. And we made that intentional decision to take that leap. I wanted to shatter my old self and reinvent myself. So the rebuilding began. We were settling into a new home. I was getting the kids all situated with their new routines. And I was slowly coming off of some of that medicine that I was on. I was feeling a lot better than I had felt in the last few years. But my physical health was still a very complicated issue. I had multiple diagnoses. I was taking all kinds of medicine. My body was still fighting me. So one day it occurred to me And finally, it was just like a curtain opening, and I realized my body's just not playing well with me. It just decided it doesn't want to. And so, what can I do about it? So I said, okay, if I take the medicine that the doctors tell me to take, and I do the things that they say would make me feel better, then my body will be okay. And then I can do what I want to do with my day. So I can show up for myself by taking care of all that I have to do based on my doctor's advice, and then I put it out of my mind. I woke up, I took my medicines. Well, you know what, medicine, you do your job. You go ahead, start working, and I'm gonna go do what I need to do, which is go have a good day. Now, as part of the reinvention, my kids were growing up and I had more time now, and I didn't want to just be at home anymore, so I started working part-time. That felt good, I was contributing, I'm being productive member of the family, and I was really enjoying work. But it still wasn't fulfilling. There's something missing. So then we sat down and we were trying to figure out, what can I do? How can I bring that spark back in me that gave me excitement and filled my heart with gratitude for every single day? How do I find that? So I needed something that was real challenge, something that was significant impact on people's lives every day. So it went back to a conversation I had with an aunt of mine many years ago, who at the age of, I was 18, 19 maybe, she would always tell me, I don't know why you're doing what you're doing in your career. You need to go to real estate. And she would say this to me every year around my birthday. For some reason, she firmly believed that my calling was real estate. And I would be like, oh, come on, who wants to buy real estate from a 18, 19-year-old kid? Nobody's going to take me seriously, so it never came to fruition. But here I am, 38 years old, trying to figure out what to do next. And then I wondered, what did my aunt see in me that convinced her that I will be good at that, and I'm not able to see it? So it came down to understanding about one thing, which is I just love to help. It doesn't matter what kind of help, and it doesn't matter who it is that needed help. You need help, I'll show up. Because that's who I was at my core. I enjoyed helping people. It really brought me joy. So this is where I decided, let's go see what my aunt is on about. What is she so convinced that I'm going to do great at this business? And boy, was she right. This business, my career in real estate, really just filled my heart with exactly what I was looking for. Every single day, I would get up, take all my meds that I was supposed to do everything I'm supposed to do, and go on about my day. I would get dressed up to the nines because it didn't matter if I had a work appointment or not. I would get dressed up to go to the bus stop to drop my kids because I wanted my daughters to see that, yes, mom has health conditions, she's not feeling all that great physically, but she takes care of herself and she shows up for herself every single day, and she shows up for people in her life and her clients. And it's so important for our daughters to see that. It's important for the boys to see that too, but I think it has a deeper, more meaningful impact on daughters because they need to know there's a myth that we can have it all. Well, yes, you can have it all, But any given time when you are succeeding in one thing, something else is taking a back seat. It's physically impossible to shine at everything all the time, right? So recognizing and identifying, okay, so today I'm putting my career on the top, so that means I might be late to pick up my child from school, right? Or it could be, you know what, I'm not giving the priority that I need to give to our relationship with, between myself and my husband, but the kids became a priority. So it's this constant Tetris, right? So I finally understood that, and that I wanted my kids to see that every single day I wake up and I show up. And I show up for myself, and I show up for others with integrity. I show up with care. And the reason why this particular industry just really spoke to me is because a home is not just a property when I work with a client. It's the place where families actually happen. It's the place where people heal. They celebrate their joys. They're also going through hard times. And having some part of direct impact in another person's life, it was immediate impact. It wasn't like, I'm going to help them do this, and I'm sure 10 years down the road they'll be okay. I helped you today, and I'm seeing the result today. That was what I needed, and that was super impactful for me. So, why did I tell you all of this? If you're sitting in this room today and carrying something heavy, a depression you've hidden, a body that's fighting you, a version of yourself you're quietly grieving, I see you. You don't have to figure it out. You just have to be willing to begin. The woman you were meant to be is already inside you. She's been there all along. And every morning, you can choose to show up for her, get dressed like it matters, because it does. Not for anyone watching, but it matters for you. That's what self-worth looks like in practice. It's not a destination. It's not a moment of arrival. Just showing up for yourself one morning at a time. You deserve that. So let's start there. Thank you.